Hello and welcome. This is the first video in a series of videos that I want to do with testing equipment and doing aero tests to find out what equipment is the fastest. I want to test different kinds of bottles, different kinds of helmets, different skin suits, different combinations of these to find out what's going to be the fastest for me. An important thing to note is that I'm not an expert, this is just my opinion. But I am an engineer and I want to do fairly rigorous tests, trying to keep everything constant except for the one thing I want to test. To do this test, we're very fortunate here in Qatar. We've got access to the Losail International circuit, which is a racetrack here in Qatar, in Doha, and once a week it's open to the general public. Recently we had a time trial race in our local league, and I haven't done much time trialing myself before, so I didn't know what equipment was going to be fastest. I have a few different options. I'm very lucky to have a different choice of helmets, different choice of bottles, but I didn't know which was fastest. I'd read some reviews online and a lot of them said they're all very dependent on the rider position, how you position them on the bike, and how you are positioned in relation to them. So the only way that I could really find out is to do some testing. Obviously this is my testing, and this is what I found out. It might be a different result for you if you were to test the same. It might be a different result on a different bike. So I'll run through quickly the tests that I wanted to do this week. What I had time to do while I was on the track, and then I'll run through some of the basic setup and some of the parameters I managed to keep the same. So I wanted to test two different water bottles. One was the Profile Design FC35, which is the deeper Aero bottle, and this fits between the tri-bars. It's got quite a cool little fast fill thing at the top. You just stick your bottle through there, squeeze it in and fill it up, and a straw that comes up the same, so you can drink without having to sit up and reach behind you. So it's 35 ounce volume, which is quite a lot. I wanted to compare that to the FC25, which is the slightly smaller, less deep bottle. The FC35 sits down lower in between my tri-bars, so I didn't know which was going to be faster. I also want to test no bottle, and I've also got an elite bottle that goes on the down tube as well. I'm going to test that one next week. Then I also wanted to test this week. I tested two different helmets. The first was a Lazer Tardiz, which is a traditional time trial type helmet with a pointy tail. I've actually upgraded this one by getting the visor for it. Not many people get the visor for this, but that was a good improvement that I found. And I've also made use of electrical tape. I've taped up a lot of the vents, the aqua vent on top that allows you to spray water onto your head to keep cool, and the adjuster to get it tighter. And then on the tail, I've taped over this hole at the back, which is supposed to be an improvement in the aerodynamics. So how does this compare to this? What's supposed to be one of the fastest time trial helmets on the market? This is the Giro Aerohead Ultimate MIPS, and it's really nice. I really like this helmet. It's the full visor just encompasses you. It's very quiet, very comfortable to wear, and it's supposed to be fast, but I didn't know. So I've tested both of those. So the basic setup. So this is my time trial bike. I've got it normally set up on a turbo trainer that I Zwift on this. This is a Phian 3.0. It's pretty aero, pretty comfortable. I've got two sets of wheels that I'll also be testing over the next few weeks. This is a Mavic Cosmic SSC 80mm carbon tubular. And I've got the same for the back, and then I've got a set of PlanetX, Selcof, Trispoke and disc wheels. They're also tubular. And I've got Continental Competition 25mm tubular on these Mavics, and I've got a 25 Zipp tubulars on the PlanetX wheels. And that's another test that I'll be doing over the coming weeks, and whether it's quicker, it's faster to have a disc and 80mm, or disc and Trispoke, or vice versa, and try out different combinations to find out what's fastest. The aim of this is really to optimize my setup, but if there's anything that you'd be interested in testing, a different position, a different arrangement setup, let me know, and I'll see if I can fit it into the testing schedule before the end of the season. For the kit that I was wearing, I keep it pretty standard. I wear the same time trial suit, I wear overshoes, Aero gloves, and I shave my legs to make sure everything's consistent for every run. The weight should be more or less the same for every run, plus the difference in elevation on this track, it's a handful of meters, so there's very little up and down, so the weight penalty will be minimal. So really we are testing just the aero differences. For the test protocol, I tried to keep it at 270 watts this week, but I crept up a little bit to about 274, and I did 3 runs. The first run was with the FC35 and the Aerohead Giro. The second run was with the FC25 and the Giro Aerohead, and the third run was with the FC25 and the Lazer. So, time for the results. First up, I rode with the FC35, and the idea was that I would do 2 laps of the Losail circuit, which is about 10.7 kilometers, and to see how much difference in time that I got for a constant power. I have a Powermeter. I have the Garmin Vector 2 pedals, so it's the dual-sided pedals. They were calibrated before I started the run, and I kept them more or less constant power. I was aiming for 270 watts, and also keeping on the tri-bars in a tuck position, and trying to keep the position the same for all the runs. So I managed to keep. I actually went up a little bit higher. I went for 274 watts for the first run, and the speed was just over 41 kilometers an hour. Then I stopped, and I swapped out for the FC25, which is that one, and I did the same again. So I did 2 laps, 274 watts, exactly the same power, and the result was that it was 3 seconds slower with the slightly smaller bottle, and that surprised me a little bit, because this obviously has a slightly bigger frontal area. The FC25 stops here, and this has got this extra bit down the front. So it surprised me, but having a think about it afterwards, it shouldn't be surprising. A lot of the new top-end bikes, they come with that aerofoil or that box section on the front sticking out, so it's obviously some kind of improvement, and that was obvious between the two runs. One thing to note though, on the first run with the FC35, for a small section, I did have some people drafting me, and I know that that has an advantage to the person who's on the front. So somebody was on my wheel, so there may have been an air advantage from that, but that shouldn't have been enough, and it was only for a short while, so it shouldn't have been enough to make a difference over the 15 minutes that I was riding. So the next was to swap out riding with the Giro Aerohead and to go for my Lazer. And so I did exactly the same again. Third run with the FC25 and this. So the only thing that's been changed between the 2 runs was the helmet, and it was about a 3-second difference, and that really surprised me. So the Giro is supposed to be a world-class, fastest time trial helmet ever, but the difference was only 3 seconds. Now that might come down to my body position, that might come down to the fact that it's a new helmet for me. I'm not really used to wearing it, I'm not used to positioning my head with this one, whereas this one I've had quite a lot of experience. So I've had this one for a while, I've done a fair bit of riding in it, and I know what position is comfortable and what seems to work for me. So there we go. It's not, this obviously with the closed vents, it's going to be a little bit more aero than if you don't do that, and this must make some difference as well. But 3 seconds over 10 kilometers at about 41.5 kilometers an hour. The Aerohead is faster, 3 seconds faster. So that's going to be my helmet of choice from now on. But again, it surprised me. But I shouldn't be really. This is also a good helmet. So there we go. Next time I'm going to test the difference between the FC35 and having no bottle at all. And I'm also going to test the difference between having the FC35 and an Elite Aero down tube bottle. So I'll see what the difference between those are. I might also swap out the Trispoke for the Mavic 80, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, until next time, take it easy, bye.